that Mewtwo why being able to be in that back line and just deal that continuous damage, they were able to reach 100k damage dealt that match.
And it's also quite impressive for Rom because he's in a match against a Serena. And so many times we're going to be seeing Serenas dive right into those back lines to try and chase down the Mewtwo's. But Rom always seems to be in such a great position that, unfortunately for Serena, there's no real safe entry point to try and dive in for that cheeky knockout. And sometimes if it did happen, because we did see 1 or 2 knockouts there, he got punished. The Serena would immediately get counter knocked out. So I have to say, you know, Rom kind of made this game a little bit easier for his teammates just based on his position, and 100% there has to be some level of communication to say that, hey guys, Serena is on top of me, I think we need to finish him off.
I think that's where the job of the supporter came in. The Clefable going in with that follow me to go and taunt that Zarina, and obviously going and healing up those members as well, allowing those attack damage carries in the back line to do their thing while being able to just sustain all that's coming towards them. That Moonlight was actually so effective during that match.
It's really effective in compositions. I think we mentioned this earlier as well. They had a pretty thick lineup. Lots of health bars, lots of big health bars. But that's what Clefable wants. You want to keep healing, and the more health you have, the more leeway you have in a lot of these team fights. It's not going to be a case of someone jumps in, you get one hit KO'd, and that's going to be it. No, you have an opportunity to get healed back up, and you can absorb a little bit more damage before you do potentially get knocked out. But game 2, there's going to be a bit of a change here for Team EX. Now, I don't want them to change too much because I do think what they were doing in game number 1 was the correct play. They kept up in experience. Yes, they did let Zeta Division control the game for a little bit, but I think their response in the mid game is really what saved Team EX and made them so threatening in the late game.
Oh, well,
what made it difficult was the late game, right? It was trying to decide, how do you attack Zeta Division? I think that was where the mistake kind of came in. Like, they didn't pick the right moment.
So I guess that's where it really comes down to that Zarina pick, that lockdown maneuver to try and take down those that are a threat. But because Zeta Division, they had such a robust team, whether that Zarina Unite move can really break on through. But you know what? We do have our bands on in. 2 speedsters for Team EX, the Dodrio and the Zoroark. And Zeta Division have decided to go for that Latios and Charizard band this time as well.
I mean, Zeta's got the opening that they want. They still got Blaziken, they still got Suicune. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of EX going for this first pick Leafeon. I kind of feel like you could have left this first pick to a different Pokemon.
You don't feel like it was as effective? Or is it just because it's easily countered like we saw last match in terms of just picking more
I feel like
robust Pokemon on the
there
side
are probably other Pokemon I'd consider in that first pick slot. Now, obviously, they're first picking it because they really want it for Liv. Like that's the only logical solution as to why they're going for the first pick. But personally, I kind of feel like you could change Leafeon out to someone different. I would like a proper long-range special attacker, but they are already hovering over that Mewtwo for Commu, which I think this is a better choice than Mew. Regular Mew, great. But I felt like in that last game, you needed a heavy hitter, which is where Mewtwo kicks in.
That constant damage that Mewtwo brings, where I guess Mew is relying on those skills, that big burst, or even the disruption with that surf that we saw. But I guess because Team EX have locked in their 5 comp here, it'll be interesting to see what Zeta Division ends back with, and it's going to be Galarian Rapidash. Now, yesterday's performance of Galarian Rapidash, it ended up getting banned quite a few times, but I ended up looking at the win rate. It truly wasn't actually looking too hot.
No. A lot of teams picked it up, and I think the issue at the moment with the Galarian Rapidash is that teams are kind of struggling to figure out what is Rapidash's role. Like, what Pokemon are you kind of countering if you're picking that Galarian Rapidash?
I think it's more the nuisance, right? It's just
it's annoying.
Consistent run in, do your damage with the Dazzling Gleam, but also that Smart Strike, that sure hit movement to go and get that slight stun allows that opening. And like, if you think about it, the amount of crowd control that Zeta Division have on their side going up into Team EX, if they collaborate all of those together at the same time, like, this could actually be quite the nuisance to Team EX to go into.
Well, just going off of the Rapidash, because it's Rom playing it.
Okay.
So because
Do elaborate.
I mean, Rom's great. I'm just trying to think, okay, what is Rom really hoping to do with this Rapidash? Who is he looking to focus on? Obviously, clear as day, Mewtwo Y. If you can jump onto the Mewtwo Y, that would be ideal. But I also think you can even target the Leafeon. Because Leafeon is also very, very squishy, yes. And if the Leafeon makes a misstep, that is a huge opening for a Galarian Rapidash to just run it down as well. So there are two key targets. We'll have to see what Rom decides to do with that Galarian Rapidash, where he kind of wants to go and what role he's really going to be playing for that team. For now, it's going to be a little cute Ponyta, just be super annoying and actually get their first knockout down in that bottom lane.
Yeah, getting that first knockout, getting in those first dunks as well, as we do have that Leafeon only taking that blue buff and going to go and support this Mewtwo because their buddy has been taken down. Otherwise, up in this top path, we do have Garam needing to back on up because the pressure is on from this buff of Buzzwole.
Yeah, Garam really waiting for that berry to come back, but it's going to be a moment. In the meantime, though, Saram just going to poke away at Tommy here. Ho-Oh versus Buzzwole. Now, unfortunately, there's not really much that's going to be happening here. It's quite difficult for Buzzwole to take out the Ho-Oh and vice versa because there's not enough damage from the Ho-Oh to really pressure that Buzzwole. So again, it's a bit of a checkmate situation in that top lane. It's going to depend on how things play out in that bottom lane. And Dazzling Gleam is going to be the build there on the Galarian Rapidash. So you do have that AoE damage that's going to be kicking in for the team. And Rom going to continue on looking for that experience. Suicune scouting for the team to see if there was a buff available. It wasn't available, but it has just respawned. Suicune still sticking around, maybe giving an opening for the team or just scouting things out. Okay, we're just going to go for a scout. They know where the Ho-Oh is now.
Yeah, they know where the Ho-Oh is. They did end up getting punished, taken on down, but I guess given that opportunity, the distraction, Garam is trying to look for some levels instead. They're going to end up having to retreat as this Chansey, using that jump pad, but Rom is there, ready to take them down and lock in with that Smart Strike, Dazzling Gleam combo. I feel like that's really bullying the Chansey there. It's only a Chansey.
There's quite surprised that we still have a Chansey in the match, actually. It's quite late, but it looks like they are struggling to get that experience. But down bottom, we do have a 2v2. We've got Blaziken looking to join the fray down here as well. Comey is around as well, so possibly going to be a huge battle in that bottom lane once we do start seeing some major objectives. Up top, though, we did get a knockout on the Buzzwole thanks to that Leafeon. And they're going to maybe think about going onto the Clefable, but thankfully Clefable can just outrun this. But Zeta, down bottom, going to go for a big push up against Team EX because this Mewtwo Y, not quite threatening yet.
No, not as threatening just yet, but this goal has been left on 1 point as Vitopo is on a roll. They do end up getting themselves a KO and breaking that bottom tier 1 pad, which is going to create some space for Zeta Division to go and look at this objective, but Leafeon goes in with a Unite move, and 2 members of Zeta Division have now been knocked on out. But even with that, Team EX, they're not going to worry about this Registeel, instead pivoting up towards the top half, unless Blissey, no, they're not here in time.
No, they're not there in time at all. I do think it was a good idea just to change objectives because you're competing with a Blaziken for that last hit secure. So unless you can reliably knock that Pokemon out, it just makes sense to take the other objective for yourself. So a bit unfortunate that they had to give it away, but I think Team EX, they are making the most out of the situation that is currently out on hand here. We are getting close to the halfway mark here for both of these teams. Level 10, the highest level on Team EX, and that is going to be on that Leafeon. Although it's been a really hard game for the Leafeon because every time they try to jump on somebody, they either are getting knocked out or they're barely getting those eliminations. You want to have these games where Leafeon just becomes an absolute menace, but the lineup that Zeta have is just made the job really, really difficult for that Leafeon. So can they figure out a way to let this Leafeon be a menace, or are they going to have to pivot and let Serena be the one to take over? Because there's no way Mewtwo is going to be that issue anytime soon.
Well, it's a team game after all, and Zeta Division are sticking together as a team, being able to knock out that Ho-Oh, getting some little dunks down in this bottom path, and now overtake that lead. Buzzwole goes in, not respecting the Fluxo, looking for some KOs, and now Team EX are missing 2 members. Queenly Ascendant does end up locking locking onto that Rapidash. They end up getting taken
Serena
down. And this is Team EX's chance to make a comeback with Serena picking up 3 KOs for themselves. Now reaching that highest level at level 11.
And that was a full team wipe at the end of the day. So that is a huge swing of experience going in favor of Team EX. They do go for the scores. Are they going to be able to break the goal zone? No, it is still there. And EX, maybe they've stuck around a little bit too long. Bliss Assist is going to be used on the Saram there, the Ho-Oh. So nobody's going to be knocked out yet, but that does mean there's no Bliss Assist for what could be this upcoming battle. Now, Blaziken is in the top lane, so I don't have to worry about those overheats. So Team EX, this is the best time for them to win this team fight, especially with Serena going in for the dive.
They are in for the dive. The freeze is also going to come out from that Suicune to get a massive stun. But 2 members of Team EX are down, but it doesn't matter because they have a Ho-Oh on their side to go and bring those members back. After all of that, Team EX are able to secure themselves that Regirock buff, but it looks like they've taken the prize. They are going to try and run away with it, but Topo does try to go in with a poke, but Lip isn't having any of it.
That was such a great play coming out from EX. They managed to get the bottom Reggie. They won that fight as well. Big change of experience. And as an added bonus, they actually forced the Blaziken away from the Alecki in the top lane. So they didn't even manage to take that objective. So that's going to be the next thing, the next point of contention for these teams. And you can see EX, they are rotating up. They're looking to take the Alecki themselves. And Zeta, they've just decided that's not a priority for them. Instead, they just want to go into EX's central area to try and see if they can still experience all buffs, but there's nothing to take.
There is absolutely nothing left for Zeta to go and take, which means Team EX are able to take this Reggie Alecki absolutely free. But we've got to mention how close of a match this is so far. It's 161 to 168. Zeta Division still are in the driver's seat just yet. However, slowly slipping away. Leafeon does end up diving in onto that Suicune, but once again, their Unite move doesn't come to fruition, not able to pick up a KO.
And they're going to go for the dive yet again, but they went into the bush. Was that actually a mistake on the side of Zeta Division? We're starting to see some health bars drop. That Leafeon is crazy low. Serena using the Unite as well. But we get our first knockout. It's going to be the Galarian Rapidash. Zeta not going to be too happy about that. They are down 1 player, but they want to continue this fight, looking so incredibly healthy, but they can't finish the Ho-Oh.
They couldn't finish the Ho-Oh. It was able to escape by flying over the walls with a Sacred Fire. They're continuing to fight on back, but Buzzwell says, I have had enough. Get out of my way. You are too much of a nuisance, picking themselves up a 2 KO streak. And once again, Zeta Division, they're hungry. They're looking for more experience in Team EX's side. I don't know if they end up getting away with that red buff, blue buff, but it doesn't matter because, I mean, Reggie Steele going into a Rayquaza, well, that is pretty tasty indeed.
Perfect timing as well with just 15 seconds to go. So that buff is going to last pretty much forever, especially with how short of a game Pokemon Unite is. So now Team EX, they're in a really interesting pickle because they are behind. They need the Rayquaza, but they're going into a team that has the Registeel attack buff. So a couple of things could possibly happen here. They bait Zeta into a fight that they don't want to do. Alternatively, they maybe try and go for some back caps and put them at the advantage, forcing Zeta to go for the Rayquaza. Or third, they find the perfect opening, grab the pick, and force that big team fight. And so far, we're seeing a bit of a catch there. Oh, they found one. They've got the support. Team EX, they have lost their supporter, but at the cost of what? A Galarian Rapidash. 1-for-1 so far. We get the Unite there on the Ho-Oh, so Blissey is going to be able to come back, Kels.
1 for none because Ho-Oh is able to go and bring that member back. And now Team EX do have the numbers advantage. Serena coming in and stomping, trying to make a statement. As Saran is trying to get towards this Buzzwole. However, that Mosquito doesn't end up getting taken down because Clefable is right there by their side. Buzzwole finally ends up getting taken out of the mix. But as we're reaching this 1 minute mark, it's going to come up with a close battle. And that is really where the pressure is going to come in. Zeta Division do have the numbers advantage. Looks like they're going in for the rip because Rayquaza's half HP. But Homie, the support Mewtwo, why ends up getting stuck when they get the secure? No, they do not lock on in. And Zeta Division run away with the Rayquaza and the chance to go and knock out Team EX because they have this 1-up advantage so far.
Oh, Zeta Division, they are saying this game is ours. The Ray is gone. Where is your way to the rest of the tournament, they say your way is to go home. We will continue to keep the dream alive here for Japan as they do remain as, I do believe, the final team for the region in the entirety of the World Championships. Zeta Division, they're carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire region on their shoulders. And it's tough, it is heavy, but if there's a team that's going to do it for Japan, it's Zeta Division.
Zeta Division with that match win, being able to survive in this tournament. Once again, progressing on through to the next round. But as we mentioned earlier, Chef said this is such a unique top 8 because we have no double regions. So pretty much these are their last hope for their regions. But Japan continuing on through despite 3 of the other Japanese teams being knocked out earlier on in the day.
There's something I'm kind of curious about. I wish we could have seen more teams play up against Team EX because it's really hard to gauge how good this team is. Imagine Team EX considered top 2, top 3. We don't know because we didn't get to see them play up against many other teams. But if, let's say, Team EX were top performers in the tournament here, does that mean Zeta Division might have taken out their toughest opponent yet?
Well,
I don't want to say that is the case. I do think there are teams here that probably would be able to challenge and even beat Team EX themselves. So, I mean, those matchups, we're going to be seeing them later today. But Zeta Division, I want to say they played clean and crisp, but I kind of feel like there were a couple of loose ends that they failed to tie up in these matches. Like, they did eventually win them, but it did look a little messy at times.
I mean, I guess it really just came down to these decisions. Definitely seeing that aggression coming from Zeta Division, being able to control the map, constantly going into Team EX's central area and taking away those busts whenever they could. I mean, they weren't even there at one point, but I mean, do have to note just how close of a match this was between these two teams. It was only a 7-point differential going into this final stretch, but I think, as you mentioned, it's that restraint that Zeta Division end up having that ends up paying off. But Blaziken, played by Vitopo there, they did have that note saying that Vitopo ended up having the most KOs so far in the tournament. Well, putting another 11 on there because they got 11 knockouts and that 74k damage dealt as well.
I think you have to include some of the objective knockouts in his knockout list because he's playing Blaziken as well. Not only is he knocking out players, but he's also taking those objectives, but just because how good Blaziken is doing basically to do that job. And moving forward, you know, if I'm one of the teams that are going to potentially go up against Zeta, I think now you kind of have to